Voting MAVEN stands for Media and Advertising Voters Engaging Now. And what it really is a group of industry executives and my peers that came together over the last few months, particularly ready to take action. You know, we see so many things happening in our country, and we recognize that the democratic process is more important than ever. And we recognize the role that media and advertising play in our democracy. One of the things we identified is that we have a younger than average workforce, and younger voters are often and underrepresented in the electoral process, particularly in midterm elections. Last midterm cycle, less than 30% of 18 to 29-year-olds actually turned out to the polls and voted. And we want to change that. We want to leverage our skills and what we do best in getting people to take action and building awareness and reaching people to actually get our industry and our workforce to take a more active role in democracy and to step up and take civic action.
And please tell us a bit more about how this idea came about, why it's so important, and who has already joined. How do companies in our industry get involved?
Well, in June, there were a lot of decisions coming out of the Supreme Court that impacted us as employers and us as individuals, families, women in general. There were many things that caused us to stand up and I think pay more attention if we hadn't already been paying attention. And a group of individuals came together after Cannes, and we really felt like it was the time to create sustainable change. And what we recognized is that partisan initiatives were really complicated and difficult, and governance and HR policies and things like that. And, you know, employers that now have employees in every state in the country or many states in the country, it's harder and harder to actually address partisan issues as an employer and ultimately as an organization. And so what we identified was that the way that we create sustainable change and we build momentum that is lasting is by taking a nonpartisan approach and to really just decide that we as an industry want to raise our hands and we want to enable our workforce and activate our workforce to do the same, to have their voices heard, to get out and vote and take part in democracy.
And is there anyone in particular who has joined? Any organizations you have on board?
Yeah, so this has really been a sprint, right? I mean, this really came to fruition in the beginning of August. So we're only 4 weeks into this process. And to date, you know, our first in pledges include the IAB, the 4A's, Horizon Media, SEMA, and we have a few others that we believe we'll be able to announce when we formally go to market next week. We have an entire communications agenda that leads us through to the actual election day on November 8th for midterms that will ensure that, you know, voters are empowered to go out, and that particularly our younger voters in our workforce feel as though their voice matters. They feel informed about the process of voting and the electoral process itself, and then why midterm elections are so important and what it means to them. And what we found is that when we, you know, as an industry, what we do really well is we take information and we distill it and we deliver it in a message that can be received and has resonance with audiences. And when we all as a group started looking around for information around midterm elections and local and legislative dockets and ballots and things like that, we found that so much information was dispersed, and not unlike media in general, discoverability was a challenge. And so what we've really taken upon ourselves is to support this process by launching votingmaven.org, which is a platform for us, by us as an industry, to basically curate and provide nonpartisan, fact-based information that basically gives you everything you need from registering to vote, understanding what is on your ballot, where you can go, where a polling station is locally, and then really more importantly, just understanding why your vote matters and why your voice needs to be heard as a voter and a person deciding to take civic responsibility, and giving that and serving that up in one place, we believe provides signal into the noise and will help particularly our younger voters feel like it is important for them to get out and to ultimately take action and go out to the polls on November 8th.
Yeah, that's really interesting how this is a nonpartisan initiative, and you've given us a timeline of what to expect, but how can people get involved?
So we need companies to pledge, and we have made it as simple as literally we have template emails and a communications plan. It's copy paste and send an email to your workforce and insert the name of your organization. It can be that easy. We need our employers to pledge to take part. We have a playbook that is available and visible on our on votingmaven.org, as well as a social media playbook. Officially on September 12th, we will start that campaign with our social media strategy using hashtags like Voting Maven, and Count Me In will be the hashtag that really rises above the noise for the entirety of this campaign. And we ask every member of our industry to get involved and to really just help everybody get out and vote. And if you really want to go the extra mile, give your employees an hour or two off to get to the polls and wait in line if they have to, and give them a high five when they come back from doing so.
The vitality and the health of our country and our democracy requires that we all get involved in what we think is the most democratic process that there is: voting in a free and open election. IAB and its over 700 member companies represents all facets of the digital media and marketing ecosystem, especially this next generation of leaders that should be really encouraged to express themselves through the voting process.
Listen, as leaders of media and advertising companies, we have the influence, we have the opportunity, and really the civic duty to provide resources and encouragement to employees and people throughout the industry to participate in our democracy. You know, we're a government of the people, by the people, and for the people.
It is time to recognize that we all have a responsibility to have a voice in the way our lives are led. And it's important for us to elevate our voice through voting. That's the way we register our opinions and perspectives of how we are going to improve this country.
Voting Maven is a terrific platform to really get out the vote. It's so important that we all participate in our democracy, and the advertising and marketing communications industry has a very important role to help persuade people, but also to help not only shape but mirror culture. And this is a very important part of our society, our right to vote. So we are thrilled that this entity has been created, and we fully support Voting Maven.
Well, the essence of what Voting Maven is doing is to encourage and enable us to be part of the process, which is one of the great, if not the greatest privilege of being an American, that we all have the opportunity to express our opinion, to vote.
Well, at the American Advertising Federation, we believe that every voice should come with a vote. And so we are the unifying voice for advertising, for the entire advertising industry. And we're committed to supporting each and every opportunity for our 35,000 members across the country. And anything that lets them be heard is something that we're proud to support.